My name is Sofia Cordeiro. I am an advisor to the Deputy Mayor for Environment, and I am in the team that coordinates the European Green Capital. The Deputy Mayor for Environment wishes he could be here, as does the Deputy Mayor for Economy and Innovation, who has been very, very committed to the Green Capital as well. Back in January, most of you might have heard, and a lot of companies have participated, we launched a climate pact with, at the time, there were 200 signatories, businesses, universities, and other organizations in the city that signed the pact saying that they would too commit to specific actions that we will monitor and measure regarding a number of issues like waste, energy, water, dissemination of good practices. And this was very important, and that was the reason why it was one of the first things we did in the European Green Capital in the end of January, and gladly in the end of January, because we might have not pulled it off afterwards, and it was good to bring all those people together. So we got 200 CEOs, presidents of the different organizations together in the same room, which seems unthinkable today, to sign a pact saying we will do our share to help the city as a whole reach its climate targets. So this is, for us, this might seem like a small event, not only because now we are restricted to small events, but because it might seem, oh, it's one more thing, but this is quite critical, because in discussing how we can reach the SDGs together, and SDGs are of course not only environmental, but in discussing how we can do it together, I am sure that we can improve, and in the context of the recovery that we will have to undergo after the pandemic is over in hopefully 1 year, or what we will have to do is not only tackle what we had on our hands before, the climate emergency and the social issues that we had to tackle, but we will have to tackle even bigger challenges. And we believe that we don't like to call it an opportunity, because we would all prefer that this hadn't happened. But having happened, what we should do is make sure that the recovery is built based on the solving the issues regarding climate above all. And we can do that. We can create greener jobs. We can move people from sectors that are outdated and have to be finished. And we need to do that. And of course, we know, again, that this can only be done through collaboration. Cities and governments are completely helpless if they don't do this with the private sector, and with companies, and with the individual citizens. So it is our great pleasure to welcome the guests today, who are in fact in their own organizations implementing exactly these the principles of the SDGs, and making sure that they do their share in each city they operate in, helping the municipalities also to achieve that. I believe that both IKEA and Altice, well, they have a number of projects with the municipality, but they are also signatories of this climate pact. And for sure, I think that the discussion today will be really useful for everyone, and I'm, for one, looking forward to it. So, welcome, and I hope you have fun this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sofia. Well, just 1 minute to say 2 or 3 things. My name is Margarida Sá Costa. I'm responsible for the center. My colleague Filipe was basically the soul of what is happening today. We do it in partnership with the House of Beautiful Business, which is a partner that we have for at least 6 months now. They call it beautiful business, we call it responsible business, something in between is truth and something like beautiful responsibility or something like that. So we basically try to galvanize people to belong to a better world. That's what we try to do. In Católica, we basically have 2 or 3 things in the center, which is dealing with students, dealing with executives and research. That's basically what we do. And in this context, there are 2 or 3 things that are really important to us. One of them is sustainable development goals. We do believe that's the universal language that we all need to embrace to have a better future. And especially in the world, in the corporate world, they need to understand the importance of the sustainable development goals. That's why we have invited to this event companies that really master that, which is, we already have, my colleague Philippe will be introducing, but we have IKEA, we have Altice, we have Banque Nationale de Paribas that is about to come, so that's one of the reasons why we took another 10 minutes to start. And we have our guest speaker, Pedro, which is Pedro Neves will be introducing himself and he will be talking about SDGs in the context of what needs to be done globally. So, welcome to this event. Hopefully you will enjoy and we will be leaving this room with a better perspective of what sustainable development in real life. That's what matters, okay? Thank you. Filipe.
So, first of all, welcome you all to this amazing event. You are very brave to wake up a Saturday morning to, to come and listen about the SDGs. We are very happy to welcome you here. We couldn't have everyone on this event, but hopefully we have a great partner that is Antonio and is recording the event, so it will be made available afterwards so we can show it to our partners and to our colleagues and to our students in Católica, and we are sure it will be a great moment with these amazing speakers. So first of all, I would like to tell you that, as Nuno already mentioned, the Sustainable Development Goals, they are part of the DNA of our center. We have many things that characterize the Center for Responsible Business, and one of them are the Sustainable Development Goals, alongside with the purpose, of course, the responsible business and the business case for action. We believe that purpose and sustainability is profitable, and this is the way to go forward. And the Sustainable Development Goals are, of course, part of everything we do. I'm looking to the public, and it's very funny I have to mention this, because 1 year ago I was in the same event of the House of Beautiful Business on the same street with Greg that is there, and we organized a funeral to the shareholder capitalism. Maybe I'm seeing someone that maybe was also there. And this was a very funny moment, and it's not because we believe shareholders should die or the capitalism is dying. It's completely the opposite. We believe that we should look for another kind of profit that, of course, we can have alongside with sustainability and prosperity for all. And it's why we have these speakers here with us. So the Sustainable Development Goals are, Pedro will talk about that, so I'll not extend myself, but they are, of course, the strongest universal common agenda that we have for the future. So they should be on our minds, either if we are a public entity, like Câmara Municipal, if we are academia, or if we are business, and you'll see how business are very aligned with this agenda today here with these amazing examples. And to start, and because our partners asked us to do an interactive event, and actually for us it's very important to have your participation, we invite you all to go to your phone. You have a free Wi-Fi from Lisbon municipality available. You can go to Google, and please, we would like to make you some questions. So if you write in your Google menti.com and you put these codes 42 33 72 9, let's see if something will happen. I will ask you some moments. Are you already there? Yes. So, amazing, it's working. So the question is, what makes me wake up on a Saturday morning to be here? And some of you are curious, some others are excited. Environment, speakers, future, beleza, good. Curiosity is on the front, I believe. Learning, knowledge. Thank you for the person that wrote Filipa. I'm very glad. Okay, thank you so much. So I think we have another question for you. What do you know about the SDGs? What is your level of knowledge on the issue? Everyone already heard about the SDGs. This is amazing. You at least registered on the event. Very good. Very good, okay. I believe almost all of us, we need to know a bit more. So I'm afraid the bar on the left will increase a lot, so I will pass on, okay? Okay, perfect. Okay, so what are the Sustainable Development Goals? Why are they important? And this is, I think, the big question of today. Why should companies care about the SDGs? Isn't this just an idealistic agenda for the future and government should take care about this? Is this what we think? Is this the reality or not? And to talk about this, I think that we have the perfect person in Portugal to talk about this, and maybe around the world is Pedro. Pedro is member of our advisory board. Of course he is, and he could not be in another place than in our advisory board, and we always like to listen Pedro a lot, and we are very happy to have you here. Pedro is CEO of Global Solutions, and he is also UN advisor for this topic on the Sustainable Development Goals, and Pedro is, of course, an active implementer of policies around the Sustainable Development Agenda. He works with innovative financing also on the Sustainable Development Agenda around the world, and is impressing how he is moving more than 10 billion assets around the world in more than 85 countries. This is amazing. Pedro works actually all over the world and in all the continents, but we know that he has a special care about Asia. Pedro also teaches about these topics since he has a long experience, more than 30 years on the area, and he is teaching in several universities in Tokyo, Beijing, Shenzhen in China, Geneva, Paris, and of course Lisbon. And now we have Pedro here with us. So Pedro, the floor is yours, and thank you for joining us. It's a great pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Nuno, and congratulations for creating the center. I don't know if you can put up the slides.
Sure.
So basically, I will share with you some ideas. I hope a different perspective on SDGs. I'll be talking about why do we have the SDGs, and so I'll touch on three main ideas. The first idea is the challenge of sustainable development, why we talk about sustainable development. Then is the evolution of the concept of development. And then why do I defend that SDGs is a new paradigm of development? And so we look, when we can go to the next one, when we look into the economic growth in the UK, we see that it was back during the Industrial Revolution that the whole thing grew dramatically. And so we associate initially development with economic growth. And we saw that all of us, a certain time, would, if anyone would ask us, what is your concept? What is your definition about development? Automatically, it would be economic growth. And this is what Fukuyama mentions. We can go to the next slide. Then what we see, and Hans Rosling is no longer with us, but basically we have the curve from a different source shows something else, which is on top of economic growth, we have demographics. And Hans Rosling created a world PIN code, and the world PIN code in 2010 is 1114. This means 1 billion people in Europe, 1 billion people in the Americas, 1 billion in Africa, and 4 billion in Asia. And then in 2050, Africa goes from 1 to 2, and Asia goes from 4 to 5. And then by the end of the century, Africa will have 4 billion, and everything else will be stable. And so basically what we see is that we have economic growth, but we also have demographics. And so development is not only economic growth. We have to have a social dimension and use and interpret how are we going to bring in the social dimension into development. And then the next slide. Malcovici presents the same curve with something else, with CO2 emissions. And basically when we look into CO2 emissions, what we see is that economic growth has a lot more people, but has a lot more pollution. And basically what we see is that the need to understand and integrate sustainable development, it's because these 3 dimensions need to be put together. And so the new challenge really is to include and combine these 3 dimensions. You can go to the next slide. If we go back 250 years and we look into Adam Smith, we will associate Adam Smith with prosperity, and we will associate Adam Smith with the butcher and the interest of the butcher and not our own interest. The next slide. When we look, obviously, Adam Smith has a lot of other dimensions, namely a social dimension, but I think we can associate Adam Smith with the new economy and prosperity. When we see everybody going into the cities, the factories coming together, and the workers comparing their salaries and realizing that it wasn't sustainable, we see that Durkheim brings in the concept of the cement of society. And so social cohesion was needed to integrate and align with prosperity. The next slide. The third one is, I like to mention, is John Muir. And John Muir, he founded Yosemite National Park. And he has a phrase I like very much. Any fool can destroy trees, they cannot run away. And I think this means that these 3 dimensions, the economic dimension, the social dimension, and the environmental dimension, we have been talking about for over 200 years. And so sustainable development is not new. What is new is the fact that we are analyzing social sciences with natural sciences at the same time. And this is new. The fact that we are combining and analyzing the 3 dimensions simultaneously. You can go to the next slide. And so we end up in Brundtland in '87, in Oslo, and Brundtland, and the Brundtland report gives us the definition of sustainable development that we all know. So we can go to the next slide. So basically what we have is we start with development, then the next slide, economic growth, social cohesion, planet protection, and these 3 dimensions are going to create, the next slide, so sustainable development. We realign the concepts, and we call it now people, planet, prosperity. But basically we are always talking about the same dimensions, the social, the economic, and the environmental dimension. And so this will be the sustainable development. What happens? For 50 years, we've been talking about sustainable development, and everybody aligns and everybody agrees that's a great concept. But how are we going to implement sustainable development? And to implement sustainable development, we add 2 other P's: peace, justice, and strong institutions. and then we add partnerships. And these 5 Ps are the SDGs. And so basically what we are doing is that we are adding on top of the 3 dimensions of sustainable development, the next slide, that I'm going to call sustainable development the game, and this is the new game that we all have. And to play the new game, the previous slide, and to play the game, we need new rules, and new rules are institutions, and we need new players. And the new players are the partnerships. And the fact that in 2015 we have formalized the need to align the public sector, the private sector, and the civil society is again a new paradigm. So basically what we are doing is that we are transforming and telling everybody development is more than economics. We have to bring social cohesion, we have to bring the environment. But then what we say is that we have to be creative to design new rules and to attract new players. Next slide. And that's basically what Ban Ki-moon, the previous Secretary General, said. Take the bold and transformative steps. And then one thing that I believe it's crucial to play the game is the fact that the 5 Ps are integrated and indivisible. This means that we cannot be just specialists on water and goal number 6. We cannot be specialists on climate change, goal 13. We always have to integrate eradicating poverty, which is goal number 1. We have to look for justice, goal 16, and we have to team up, which is goal 17. So, next slide. Then, what is beautiful, and now going into the private sector, is Arun Maote from Nigeria and Vice President and Treasurer of the World Bank. She tells us we require $3.9 trillion per year to achieve the SDGs. And only 1.4 trillion comes from the public sector. 2.5 trillion have to come from the private sector. And this is the challenge, and this is the business. And so the whole point is, are we ready? And the private sector is not being invited. It doesn't work without the private sector. And this means 2.5 trillion per year. Now the next slide. And so Jim Yong Kim, the ex-president of World Bank, he basically tells us that we have to team up. Owners of capital get a reasonable return to developed countries maximize sustainable development. And he insists there are trillions of dollars sitting on the sideline. Today, we never had such a dirty house, considering the planet our house. We never had such big difference within our family, and we never had so much money. So the challenge we have today is not where is the money, but how are we going to use it to create a better future? Thank you. This is the link, if you wish to follow, that's the link to keep studying and where all the other, everything else is also related. Thank you.
So I would like to welcome Pierre that just joined us.
I'm acting as an advisor for BNP Paribas on the sustainable business. And I have to say that even I've seen only the end of this presentation that I fully agree with what has been done. Sustainability is nothing new. And I will talk to you about sustainability in corporates and business, and especially in finance. Just to let you know one thing, WBCSD, which is the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, has been created in '95. And this is the cooperation between corporates to be together to think about sustainability. We are far before COP21. We are far before the SDG. So sustainability is not something that has been taken. Everything came from what has been explained before. We think about economic before, and then we decided, then suddenly we realized that we have a social issue, then we came to social, and then we realized that we have the planet and we have But what makes us reacting? We like comfort. People like comfort. So we only act when there is a threat. And this is the threat, even the threat of climate change is something that people have difficulties to perceive. So when you have to talk to people who are thinking with short term, like corporates, like people in finance, where the horizon of thinking is 3 months, or do you think about what will happen in 15 years, 20 years, 25 years? So you have to reconnect it. The advantage of the SDG and the beauty of the SDG, which I do believe with the peacekeeping force is probably the best things ever done by United Nations, it's creating awareness. So creating awareness that we have to take care on top of the economic, on top of the social, because the social has been taken care in countries already for a certain time. It's a certain number of issues that we need to tackle. And they fix the 17 goals. I do believe that is a lot of goals because a lot of them are redundant and we can probably discuss about that. But it's creating awareness. And after awareness, it creates, so what it means awareness for a company? It means I have to review my value. I have to rethink about my value of doing and growth. If I'm in finance, it's about reviewing my value, about allocating capital. Is it good, is it bad? I will come back to that. The second thing is about setting up policy. I need to decide what I will do and what I will not do. I will decide what is good, what is bad. This is not simple. So for finance people, like in BNP Paribas, we set up 10 or 11 policies now. And we decided we don't finance tobacco anymore, we don't finance shale gas, we don't finance this. But we do also say we finance palm oil if the people change the way to work. That's another way to do it. So it's not only to be negative, but it's also to try to change. So it comes to the fact that we are the awareness. After the awareness, what came? The commitment. People start to commit. Our bank, we have 267 commitments. Can you believe that? We don't even know how we will implement them. So now the next stage is to implement. Commitment, you can see. What is the biggest commitment that the people have to do? Is to respect the SDG, but it comes more and more in terms of climate change about what we call the net zero. The net zero, that's the new trends in the net zero to 2050. It's probably the way we transform the SDG, which is the kind of guide, and to go slowly to commitment. And then when you commit, you go to action. And to go to action, this is very complex. Can you believe that we need to think grow, economic grow? We are working on a day-to-day. We have to integrate the social. And then the environment, and in the environment we start with the climate change, and then we came with the biodiversity, the nature, and now we come about the soil, about the water, that's a complex. So we start and we need to give guidance. And this is why it has been created, I don't know if you're familiar, the TCFD, and now the TNFD, which is the way to guide and to put the people together, means 3 kinds of people. The governance means the public, the government, the business, and the civil society together. And the 3 together, they have to decide the new rules. Oh, I will do things together. Oh, I will move. And to move, unfortunately, we cannot wash the past like that in one sense. So what we have to do, we need to go to the future. So we enter in a dynamic of transformation. Then what we have to do today is to decide where we want to go, is for each company to decide where to go, but after that is to go. And that's the most difficult. And what has been done by Pedro before, saying there is a lot of money, there is plenty of money. There is a lot of ideas, we know where to go. We have a guidance, the SDG. No, it's all to make it happen. It's action. It's all this will be implemented. And the implementation requires several skills change in a way to work. And I can give you a few of them. And after I give you an example of what we do in banks. The first one is what has been done is the SDG 17, the most important, partnership. This is too complex. Nobody will solve anything alone. That's for sure. That's the first thing. If you believe that you will solve your problem, it's impossible. The second thing is to find solution. It's not to create new products, it's to find solution. And finding solution means you need to talk with your peers, you need to collectively do it. It's a collaborative work. Then, very important, you need to think ahead. The technology, the data, the science that we need to collect more and more. We forget about science, we forget about technology, we forget about data. So we need to integrate them. So it means that we need to anticipate the future. So we need to work by scenario. Normally we used to work by knowing the past. I give you an example. Today in banks, when we had a company doing 10 years the good business and good management and being performant, we will increase his credit. Today we will put him on a watch list. Because if it's still doing the same, he may be disrupted. And he may be a Kodak of tomorrow. So we need to think about scenario of future. This is what TCFD is doing. This is what TNFD is doing. We need to set up scenario, and based on the scenario, we will decide what to do, and we will anticipate what to do. We cannot do and invent the future, but we can at least decide what to do when this happens. Then we need to increase our risk management. Increasing our risk management, why? Because we detect more and more risk. Risk about climate change, risks about nature, risks about water, risks about soil, risks about... So even a corporate, you need to identify your risk. But if you identify only your risk, you have a chance that you will die because you will accumulate number of risks. So you need at the same time to reinvent your opportunities. And this is what we have to do also in finance, is to work both sides, is to start to disinvest, de-risking. When I have activists coming to me and telling me, you have to get out from coal, I will say, yes, we will get out from coal. That's a given. But we need to decide the how. Because if we get out from coal today because of the past, we cannot offset the past instantly. It means that I need money, I need resources in order to refund the future, in order to reinvest in renewables. But by doing this, I have two risks. I have the risk to miss the disinvestment, and I have the risk to miss again the reinvestment. So that means we are working in a world which will be more risky. So again, coming back to what I said before, partnership is important because you need to work with partners who will help you to manage those risks, but you have also needed people who will help you to work and to identify the opportunities. And this is what we're missing the most today, because if we have more opportunities, we will have more private sector coming and investing in projects when we can do the combination. Today, the problem is that we are focusing too much on reporting and risk. I call it the double R. But the double R is good because it could be an incentive, but it could be also a blockage in order to identify and to develop new opportunities. And this is where it's important. Last point, very important, measurement of impact. This is what we miss today. SDG doesn't measure impact. SDG tell you what to do and what to focus on, but it doesn't measure impact. So now we have to focus on measuring impact. And last but not least, we need to be transparent. The transparency will be required, because if not, you will not get trust. And this is very important. So in finance, we start to work on this. And we have implying the SDG. What is the SDG for a BNP Paribas? It's not necessarily doing the 17 SDG. So we need to define the one where we want to be active. So, for instance, we are a bank of energy, so energy, we will transform our energy portfolio. So we will focus on few things where we do believe is important. So you need to create based on your value, based on your policy, you create what you call your active SDG, the one who are related to your core business, and your passive SDG. That means the one you don't harm. You don't want to destroy the other one, but you cannot also focus on everything. So you need also to be focused of what you can achieve and what you can be good at. Like you do in business today. You are good at the business because you're good at something, not good at everything. So it's the same thing here. You need to make your selection. So SDG is a guidance, and it's a guidance to transform. You will disrupt your business, and it's about not integrating climate change biodiversity or social into your business plan, because majority of you have already done it for a long time. But it will be to value the risk and the opportunity of climate change, biodiversity, and social into your business plan. So it means what? It means that you have to put that in your strategy. It's part of your strategy, it's your new business model. But knowing that you have science, technology, data, a lot of new elements that can make it different than in the past. And you will have the good sense of the past. You see those people that we have seen from 200 years, 300 years, what they have in common with us, talking today about the same thing, is common sense, good sense. But what we have different than what they have at that time is the fact that we have an exponential technology, we have an exponential source of data. The way we have to move in finance is the risk return. So we need to compute the risk return, which is normally what we used to do, plus measuring impact of what we want to measure in terms of impact. And the decision and the financial decision, if we want the private sector to come at work, it's exactly that. It's about combining risk return and impact measurement, because the impact measurement will tell you how you allocate your money. So allocation of capital, partnership, and joining digitalization and data to sustainability, because they are not against each other, but they are complementary to each other. So I can stop here because I think it's a question of time.
Yes.
But if I have still 2 minutes, I can give an example of what we do in finance. Yes?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So in finance, what we have created now in order to complement what normally donors were using to do it. So you know, United Nations used to give, and public used to do a lot of money in order to solve the 17 SDGs. We know that this is not sustainable. We explained the gap between the 1.4 to the 3.9. So the private sector need to come at stake. So what we do and what has been created, and now it's been approved last week, by the way, and formalized by principle by the OECD, it's the blended finance. I don't like the word blended finance. I prefer to call it hybrid finance, because blended make it like my juice in the morning, and it creates something that you don't know what it's about. Hybrid, you have the idea of what you do, and it gives a better sense of that is control. It's about putting together philanthropic money, public money, and private money together in order to set up solutions at a large scale, in order to de-risk projects, in order to optimize the funding of projects, and in order to scale some good practice and some executable project. We need also to aggregate. Aggregation is also very important. 60% of the projects to be financed are between 5 to 75 million, which means too expensive for a philanthropic to finance and not big enough for a bank to finance. So we need to find ways to collect those projects. 60%, this is more than 50%. So we used to use in banks to finance everything around above 100 million. So we need to find a way to collect that. Blended finance or hybrid finance, how it works is simple. What we will do, we will bring investors. So it means that the banks are getting less and less financing the economy. It's more and more the asset owners who will do that, the sovereign fund, the pension fund, the insurance company. So they will invest in projects, but these projects are too risky for them because it's greenfield, it's about transformation. So what we will do, we will take the public money in order to de-risk. And so by de-risking, by having it as a junior and first loss, it will allow a private investor to come in. And most of the time, we will also use sometimes catalytic fund from philanthropic, so like Rockefeller Foundation, for instance, who will, instead to give a lot of little money everywhere, they will give a big amount of money as a loan, as a concessional loan, in order to start the project or to finance the transition. Because during a transition, there is no revenue, there is no economics. And so we will set up projects like that. So that means around the table, what do you need to have? You need to have the civil society, you need to have the governance, the public money, and you need to have the private sector. And what will make the business creating the financial resilience? If you give money, if you do donation, if you do philanthropic money, you do not create financial resilience, because when the money is gone, and with the COVID-19, I can tell you we will have COVID-22, 23, 24, And most money will be spent for many things, and the public money will disappear. Look at today, the cities don't have any money anymore. How can they do anything? So if you don't put the private money at stake in order to accelerate the process, but all this by allocating properly, by doing the right partnership, and by using the right measurement of impact, that's the only way to get out. And that's the only way, and it's complex, and it requires partnership, and it requires alignment between all parties. And all parties are what? Science, technology, data, digitalization, the governance, the business, the civil society, and the finance. And you need to put all those people together to create a project. The complexity is not the finance, the complexity is to align everybody. So maybe I can stop here.
Thank you so much, Pierre. Thank you so much. It was very clear, objective, and super in line with Pedro's presentation. It seems that you talked
be
before. Okay, so now we'll listen to Ana Barbosa from IKEA Portugal. Ana is the sustainability manager of IKEA, and Ana graduated in Porto as an engineer. And she was working on the furniture and also on the textile industry for a while before joining IKEA in 2001. So, and has a long career in the company. And after passing some areas and working with different markets from Portugal, Southeast Asia, Central Europe, she is now the sustainability director and is moved every day to work for the communities around IKEA, and also enabling Portuguese consumers to do what is the motto of IKEA, that is live a better everyday life within the limits of the planet. So, Anna, I'll give you the words, and I'll put your presentation.
Thank you. Just reflecting on that bio reminds me it's almost 20 years in IKEA. It goes very fast. So I'm here to talk about sustainability in IKEA. And following the previous presenters, and I felt a bit after Pierre's presentation, let's see how we do it in IKEA and our approach to this big challenge. And I would like to start with two aspects that have been referred here already. Firstly, sustainability in IKEA is integrated in the business. It is not a separate department. Actually, our sustainability teams are normally very small. In Portugal, we are only 2. And secondly, this concept that was also raised here, that sustainability is not new for the companies. It's also not new for IKEA. Actually, for us, it has been in our DNA. Historically, we have different actions and initiatives that have strong environmental impact and social impact. If you think about flat pack, that we're very famous for, this is of course a way to reduce costs, but also environmental impact strongly, since we can transport more products in the same truck or container. Or if you take our code of conduct towards our suppliers, that we have we've been working steadily with a code of conduct, very formalized and with formalized processes already 20 years ago. And also investment in renewable energies, something more recent, but that has been very, very consistent. So it's been there. But in 2012, we structured our sustainability agenda in a strategy. I think you are seeing it now. So we call it People and Planet Positive Strategy. Again, we want to develop our business, so the profit or the prosperity part, but with a positive impact on the people and the planet. So the 3 Ps that Pedro mentioned from the beginning, they are very well considered in this strategy. As I said, it is from 2012. But we have, in 2018, revised it. This is the version that we work with now, and it sets ambitions for 2030. So we are working now very strongly with our targets for 2030. This strategy, it is organized, it's a quite simple structure. It has 3 main chapters. I will try briefly to cover them with you and then make the connection with the SDGs that we also include there. So the 3 main areas that we work with, or the 3 main chapters, we call it change drivers, are the first one, healthy and sustainable living. This is very much connected with our core business, with our offer to the customer, solutions to the customer. I will come back later on with more details. The second one, the second change driver, circular and climate positive, is more about operations. Our production, all our transport flow, and finally retail, buildings, but also the use of the products, at home. Retail is where I sit here in Portugal. And then finally, fair and equal, it's about people. All the people that somehow we touch with our business and the impact we can have in these people. I will move now a little bit more in detail within each of these change drivers. It will not be really be detailed, but I can give you a little bit more of examples of how we do it. And for each of them, you can move now, Philip. For each of them, you will see the big ambition we have to reach by 2030. So for the first change driver, healthy and sustainable living, our ambition is by 2030 to inspire and enable more than 1 billion people to live a better life, but within the limits of the planet. So this is our big goal that we work towards. What does this mean? That sustainability needs to be really part of our business, as I said, but of our commercial agenda, our offer, our products, our solutions to the customer. We need very much to democratize sustainability, and we need to connect sustainability with affordability. So sustainable products and solutions cannot cost more for our customers, and at the same time, they should allow not only a positive impact on the environment, for example, allowing saving energy or avoiding food waste, but they should also allow savings in the family budget. We are very much focused right now in IKEA, and especially in IKEA Portugal, in making this connection, democratizing sustainability and making the connection between sustainability and affordability. And as a concrete example, I will share with you a solution that we have in Portugal. It's called the Sustainable Affordable Home. For the ones of you that know our stores, we do have solutions. In this case, it's a complete home that we show for our customers in all our stores. We show it also in IKEA.pt, where a couple living in this home can save electricity, can save water, can avoid food waste, and by the end of the year they can save €500, which is, for a Portuguese couple, very significant. So this is an example of how we do this. Also, circular services for our customer, the previous one still, sorry, Filipa. Also, circular services for our customers are included here. Here I would like to share our buyback service. It is being now very much referred in the media, so I'll just mention it briefly. So second-hand market is very important for our customers, and we want to have an offer for this. So we have already in Portugal since a few years the second, what we call Second Life, a buyback service, with a small impact, and we are relaunching it now so that it is actually growing in impact, more accessible, more known and more used by the Portuguese. So this is what we are doing in the first change driver, and now moving to the second one, circular and climate positive. We also have big ambitions here. By 2030, we have the ambition to become climate positive and to regenerate resources while growing our business. What does this mean? We will reduce more carbon emissions than we emit with our operations. We, of course, need to be more efficient. We need to reduce waste. We need to reduce water. We need to reduce energy consumption, and we need to use renewable energy, the energy that we actually consume. in order to contribute for this climate positive agenda. On the circular part, by 2030, all our raw materials will be either renewable or recycled. And this, integrated with the circular design in all our products, will contribute to this ambition. As examples here, I will also mention an example from IKEA Portugal, is the work that we are doing with energy. We have been working consistently with energy efficiency, but we have also been working consistently with renewable energy investment. We have in all our stores, all our own stores, we have PV panels installed. They supply energy for the consumption during the day. So they are dimensioned so that everything we consume during the day is used from those PV panels. This is 20% more or less of our total consumption. And we have also invested in Pisco wind farm. So it's a wind farm in Portugal with 25 wind turbines. It supplies renewable energy for approximately 30 IKEA stores. So this is an example of actually a consistent work that is happening throughout in several IKEA countries. And finally, the last change driver, fair and equal. By 2030, we want to have a positive societal impact in everyone that we touch with our operations. This means our co-workers, the co-workers from our suppliers, our communities, and with special attention, the most vulnerable in our communities. So we do this, of course, first by addressing our co-workers, working with equality and inclusion, and having IKEA as a great place to work. But then we do it also with our code of conduct. I've mentioned it to you. Implementing this code of conduct in all of our suppliers secures good labor conditions for their co-workers. And finally, different community actions, interactions, and some of them focus in some vulnerable groups. I will bring here a couple of examples. They are global, although also to be implemented in Portugal, and some are already running. You might know that IKEA has an employability program for refugees. We have started it last year, and it will be running for the coming years to actually develop the skills, the employability skills of refugees in the different countries, so that they can become then, they have sustainable jobs, let's say like that. And the other example, following this pandemic, is the community emergency support that we have given in all our markets, and the same happened in IKEA Portugal, to special target groups during this crisis. In Portugal, it has been health teams that were in the first response, and then children from vulnerable families that were suffering from the lockdown. So moving on to the next one, how does this fit with the Sustainable Development Goals? I think starting only by the name of our change drivers, there is in some cases a perfect match with some of the goals. We did consider the goals when developing the strategy, framing the strategy and guiding us in our ambitions. We do support different groups like migrants, like refugees, like children, so we are quite active in this. I have already shared with you the refugees program, but I can refer as well to different social entrepreneurs programs that we develop in different countries and that support people who didn't actually have a sustainable job, sustainable living, and these people are mainly women. So with these projects, which end up in special collections in our stores, we are supporting social entrepreneurs companies that give steady employment to these target groups. I would highlight also the Sustainable Development Goal, clean and affordable energy. So here I mentioned about our investment in renewable, and this is one aspect. Just for this year, fiscal year 21 and in August, IKEA Group is committed to spend another 600 million euro in sustainability, and this will include renewable energy. But also the affordable part. And here we have been working in different countries, very active with residential solar, what we call home solar, allowing people in their homes to install solar solutions. That will then contribute to more renewable energy production, and will contribute that they can actually use renewable. And this, of course, our role here will be to make it accessible and affordable to all, our way of approaching the business. We have it already in several countries, and the ambition is to have it in all retail countries. Actually, in IKEA Portugal, we are working very hard to have it already this fiscal year 2021. Finally, SDG 13, climate action. I want to finish with this one. It's okay. We have in IKEA, we are committed to the Paris Agreement, also now in relation to the green recovery, and therefore we have the ambition to contribute to keeping the temperature rise below 1.5. We are committed to reducing our emissions by 2030 by half the emissions from our operation. We are on that path, and what I would like to share with you is that even though global emissions continue to rise, we are not on a good level in this SDG. For IKEA, fiscal year 19 was a key year because we have actually managed to start the reduction of our carbon footprint. For the first time, since we measure, for the first time we have, in absolute terms, reduced our emissions. We have reduced it in over 4%, but we were, at the same time, we're growing our business. Our business was growing 6%. So we have actually decoupled economic growth from the growing carbon footprint. We're very excited with that. This is a landmark for us, and it really gives us energy for this decade that is coming. We are now in the last 10 years before 2030. We have this ambitious goal of becoming climate positive and continuously drastically reducing our emissions. And this last year's results show us that we are on the way and that we can do it. I will stop here. Thank you so much.
Well, she's about to say that I'm also a sailor as a Portuguese, and because I love the planet and I love the ocean and I love to be free, and well, I hope that I can contribute a little bit so that we can all share this beautiful planet. Apart from that, I will begin saying, this is you?
It's me.
That for me and also for all this, sustainability is a question of values. I believe, well, my personal view is that we've been having a crisis of values, motivated for a lot of things. We can be here talking a lot about that. And that think about sustainability comes as a new paradigm. I think what Pierre they would say that it's a new paradigm, but in fact it's we need it. We need to reevaluate our way of living, and that's what we do. Together as no limits is the most for Altice. Altice, as we hear, not with this name and without the names, but it doesn't matter in fact, serving the Portuguese since the 19th century. So we really are sustainability. So together as no limits also say a lot about what we think about our way of doing business. We believe that we work for people, with people, and together we can have no limits in what we do. So we think want to contribute to the United Nations 2030 agenda. And when I say also, it's because I think that we were here before being sustainable, and we want to be here after 2030, and we believe that 2030, after 2030, we will have more goals, we hope so, and we'll go further in these goals, so important for humanity, for the planet. So, we see sustainability in three sectors or three perspectives. Internal perspectives, we want to promote overcoming and sharing culture for each person that works in Altice and all the people that are connected with those people. We are a big company here, we are in all the country, and so we have responsibility with our teams, with their families, and with all the people that work with us. Also, we want to contribute to economic and social cohesion in Portugal. We are a small country. For those that don't know us very well, please do it. Travel a lot because we are small, but we are different from north to south, and we have a lot of asymmetries that Altice wants to fight against, because we believe that we will only be sustainable if we try to, first of all, fight against all these asymmetries and also the waste, of course. Our mission for the future is to have a sustainable future that we can survive as a company, to serve all the Portuguese, and also to help people in the future to build a new future. So as I said, we think that after 2030 we want to be here and we want to be better than we are now. So that's what we are looking for. For strengthening our internal culture, what we've been doing is that we created this office that I'm responsible for, only for strategy. I must say that it's only me. So we work with all the teams of the company. It's a cross-functional job, so that people all in all the areas of the company work with this subject. And also we create a committee with the internal committee, also with external people that I will further, not now because I cannot do it, say who they are, with people from the outside, so that they can help us and together we work this subject. In our commitment to society and to the planet, we defend a lot of causes, I will say further, and we combat e-exclusion and the digital illiteracy. We believe that sustainability and digital transformation are working together, and we were very happy that the president of the UA also said that these are the two main things for the UA strategy. So also I am a very keen defender of the European Union, and I was very happy to know that Ursula von der Leyen, I don't know if I'm saying correctly her name, but that's it. I like her very much, and she said this, and I'm very happy. So also in our business, we do business for the future, and what we do is that we try to develop new technologies and sustainable solutions, so new technologies that help to build a better future for all, and also the solutions themselves to be sustainable and in all ways. Also, we do a lot of partnerships for new and sustainable goals, so I invite everybody that is listening to please call me. We will be very happy in team up with proposals on this. So I'm giving here some examples. Internally, we believe that the example, when we are talking about values, are very important. It doesn't matter if I'm defending sustainability if my boss doesn't do it, and he does. So I'm very happy that I have a CEO, especially a CEO that is very keen on this matter, and we also want not only to be the front end, but also all the people. So we give stage, we want people to participate, we want people to tell us, that's why I exist there, tell me what you want to do better in your function. So each person has a special purpose in the company, and it's as important as the other one. There's no one that is more important than the other. In our commitment to society and to the planet, well, I could give you a lot of examples. I choose these two, but I really made the flag. It's a partnership with AE, which is an association blue flag for the beach. So we did it for a movement to aim to handling our municipalities and parishes that has best sustainability practices. So we want to put a green flag in all Portuguese municipalities. That's what we do. Also, Altice Foundation Tour, we have a foundation that works for social responsibility and also for sustainability, so it's not the only arm of the company, but it's a very special one. And what we did is that we have a truck that is traveling around Portugal with digital solutions for everybody, so that we can, as I said, it's very important to us to work on the digital transformation and against info exclusion. We have some problems during COVID, of course, so it's stopped now, but during COVID we did a lot to help people, and I will, especially because it's women, say, talk about what we did for against violence at home, domestic violence, helping them to have places with access to digital so that they can work, they can maintain their life, and supporting these associations like ABAF, supporting these women and these families, not only women, but also men sometimes, yes, but women and child mostly. In our mission for the future, we do a lot of investment in infrastructure. We are a company of infrastructure and also media. And MEO, which is our arm for, as I think everybody knows, has the best mobile network coverage with 99.4% of the population on 4G and 78.3% in 4G Plus. We are doing a lot of investment in fiber optical, and we hope to have a lot of new solutions for 5G and so on. So, Altice currently serves 5 million homes. I think it's very funny that it's our optical fiber now can give 112 turns to plant birds. So it's huge. Also, I want to highlight Manager IKEA, which is a new service available to all customers. It's really, I would say, innovating. That's an electronic communication sector, the supply of 100% green energy. So we have this on our buildings, we have this for people. We can also supply that. We do a lot more. I could be here speaking a lot about this, and especially I want to give you all to leave this to you. Please call us, please. We are together on this. Together as no limits. It is really a moment for Altice, and we want to make it alive internally, externally, and for the future.
Thank you so much for this. Thank you. So I hope you enjoy this moment. Now we have a quick challenge to our speakers. We are giving the opportunity of the public to vote in 4 questions, okay? And they will answer to the questions you choose as the most ones, or that's really more curiosity. If you want to choose 2 SDGs, we definitely can accomplish, of course, until 2030. Which are them?
Thank you. I think the challenge is creating the rules of the game and to be the players of the game. And so the challenge really is to how are we going to cooperate? Cooperate is one of the biggest challenges of mankind. And so this is goal 17. And then what is on top of it is how are we going to play the rules? What type of rules are we going to play? How are we going to design the new rules? The better the rules, the more attractive the rules are, the better the players will be, and the more players we will have to be interested on the game. So I would say 16 and 17, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to be quick. You are entering on the challenge very well. Thank you, Pedro. And now, Pierre. Pierre, what kind of opportunities do you think COVID-19 opened in the markets? What changed for you in BNP Paribas?
The first change is that I'm not going to the office, so that's for sure, for the time being. So that's the first practice, and I'm not traveling anymore. So, no, just for the sake of COVID, as I explained before, climate change and all those change, we don't feel it on everyday's life. And COVID has been probably the first time that we do feel something. Sometimes people feel the storm and the change of weather because it happens in certain area, but that's very localized. Here, for the first time ever, what happened is that everybody has been touched in the change of their life about something which is probably, I don't think there is one single person in the room here who think it will happen one day, and know it's happening. So it creates suddenly in our life that it will happen. So there is we come back to reality that is important, that we pay attention to what has been explained for many years, and now we have to move to action. We call it the decade of action, so I hope this will push the people to put action in the right direction. Unfortunately, we are not in a world when everybody is thinking on the same way, and we can see that it creates on the other side populism and regionalism, and the people try to protect the old world. So that will be the battle of tomorrow, is that are we moving forward, or are we dying with the old world? So I think today the COVID has been probably the mindset to tell us what to do. The second thing, which is very interesting, do you know how much money COVID collects in terms of, it's about 3 trillion of money which has been mobilized for COVID-19. So it means that we have a kind of little flu, and we mobilize 3 trillion of money in the world. In the COP21, the money that has been asked to be collected was 2.3 trillion. And we have not done it in almost, we're talking about 5, 7 years, 6 years. So it realized that we can collect the money. It makes us realize that the money can be there when we need to put it in place. It also shows that very quickly the public and the private can find solutions, because this is what happened. I don't know about Portugal, but in France, for instance, all the lending has been guaranteed by the public sector in order to all the SME to continue to operate. So it took, you know how many days it took to do that? 2 days. 2 days of decision between the ministry and the banks. So it shows that we have the capacity to do it when we are mobilizing. But why do we need always to have this threat, and why can we not anticipate? So that's probably what COVID brings us to us. The second thing I will say for a bank, The banks has been also something that helping us to realize, and especially at BNP, the first things, we do realize that finance will have to change. So that means that the way we were doing finance, the way that we're operating, will solve a certain number of problems, but not everything. So that means we will have to find new solutions. And I'm not telling new product, I'm telling new solution, and the word solution is very key. And we will have to work with and partner with our clients, which is something new. Instead to push a product to a client and negotiate a price and putting a process in place, what we will have to do is that we will have to listen to our client and find what they want to achieve. Because there is one thing I realize is that sustainable finance, this is the pure arrogance of the bankers, okay, again. Because we don't do the sustainability. The company will do the sustainability, the operators, the people, the supply chain, and we are only a way to facilitate it. And the way we have to come with a solution to facilitate it and to create the solution. The advantage for the bank, we do realize that we are talking to everybody. So we can play a role to be the one collecting the partnership between the partners, the civil society, the governance, because we are regulated, so we have access to the governance also being regulated. So, and then we can play this role of being the coordinator and the link between the different, but we will not be necessarily the one who finance anymore, because short-term probably yes, but long-term it will probably come to the other investors, which will be the high-net-worth individual, the asset owners, as I mentioned before. So that's probably the way that people realize that there will be some changes in the way that we do operate. Unfortunately, we are regulated people, so we need to do that with our own regulator. And last but not least, you do realize that we need to enhance our risk, but on the other side, we need to boost much more our opportunities. And we need to go and finance opportunities, which means to finance greenfield. And again, financing greenfield, this is not what a bank normally is supposed to do. So we need to find some new solution, as I mentioned before. So that's probably the way to change. Yeah.
Thank you, Pierre, so much. So Anna, yes. What is the role of SDG 17 in IKEA activities, and what is the space it takes in your strategy?
Yes. Thank you. I'm very happy with the question. Thank you, guys. I didn't have the chance to talk so much about this during my presentation, so it's a good opportunity. Partnerships, collaboration, co-creation is really very important and very integrated in our sustainability strategy, but actually overall in IKEA business. And it's not only about corporate agreements, as I mentioned to you, the Paris Agreement, the Green Recovery, or even partnerships with the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. We do have these, but it's then also about more operational partnerships. Let's say with Forest Stewardship Council, or with Better Cotton Initiative, so that we can secure sustainable raw materials. But it's also then with the co-creation with different stakeholders. I will, I left it for the end, but it doesn't mean it's less important. I will give you a couple of examples. We have an event that we called One World, One Planet, One Home, One Planet. It is the second edition, it was the second edition this year. And this is an event, it's really a co-creation event, where we invite, let's say, 200 people, 200 stakeholders. They come from different countries, from different businesses, different organizations, different backgrounds, and they workshop together for 2 days. And from this workshop, we get challenges, we get ideas for future solutions for our business. Not necessarily products, as you are saying, we are looking for solutions. This is an example of co-creation. And then I would also talk about co-creation with our customers. not the least. In IKEA Portugal, for example, we do have a strong relationship with IKEA family members. We develop solutions together with them so that we can learn in one hand, but at the same time so that we can share what we have learned with our customers and that we can be relevant. If I can give you an example, going back to this sustainable, affordable home, it was co-created with a family where we learn about how they live, what solutions they already have, what new solutions they need, and how can we support them in implementing those solutions. So these are a few examples, but yes, a very key SDG for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ana. So Margarida, what is the effect of teleworking on Altice activity and on your accomplishment of the sustainable agenda? Do you think it has more positive or negative consequences for the business and the collaborators?
Well, I'm like Anna, happy to have this question. I didn't have the chance to say something that as a sailor and as a person, I believe we have to adapt and we have to keep forward. That's the way, that's no other way. So for teleworking, or as we say, yes, in Portuguese, teletrabalho, teleworking, it's digital, so it's good for a company that thinks that digital transformation is the way, or it's at least one of the ways. And we believe that the digital can be applied to all sectors, from agriculture to space technology. So it's for everything. It's knowledge, more than anything, it's knowledge that we have to use, to have to know. And teleworking was a challenge. I must say that concerning Altice organization, it was easy. It was like Pierre said, it's, well, 1 day, 2 days, so we adapt quickly. And we also help Altice Empresas, which is our main subsidiary for companies, to help companies to adapt their own business. And it was a challenge, and it ran very well. I think it's very good. I think it's going to be a change that we all will keep for the future, more or less. I hope we keep traveling. It's good, know the world, but we adjust to the elements, and the element was COVID, and we did well. And teleworking was it was very good to do it. I must say that sometimes I work in teleworking. We do it well. I hope you also. For the business, well, it's not as good as you may think, because we all have good network, and as our network is one of the best in the world, I must say. So it was before COVID, it still is, it's going to be better, even better in the future. So no, really in profit, it's not the issue concerning teleworking, but it's the way of living. And we're going to adapt and have new solutions. So that's okay. We love it.
Thank you so much. So now we'll give you some minutes to have some questions from the public. So if you have a question, Jose will kindly pass the micro to you. This is completely clean. We made sure of that. So if someone has a question, can just raise your hand. Yeah, thank you.
So the main question would be, how can we make it an easier transition within the implementation business units of corporate to go broader than just the first initial contact and the first initial wheel, let's say?
It's a good question, because at the end is how do you integrate that into your strategy, as we mentioned. So you need to have a different level of incorporating this into the company. First, as I mentioned, you need to have a top-down approach. If you don't have somebody who is part of the management, who is endorsing and who is driving it, it's impossible to put it in place. I'm sure that in the company that's been here, there have been people on the top who are driving that, and this has to be coming from the top. So a strong top-down approach. Secondly, it's not enough. It's not because you put that in the top-down that it will work. So you need to make sure that you remain close to your core business. If you do something completely separated, far away, and the example we had today, it shows that it's very close to the core business of each. You don't try to change the world far away, and it's not suddenly to go and replant trees in the other side of the planet. It's to do it in your business, what is close to your business, and slowly integrate people in project. And making them realizing. For that, you need some tools. You need policies. You need to redefine your value, and you need to give some guidance somewhere. So your company the company need to set up policies. They need to set up what are our value, what do we want to do, what we don't want to do. So at least you need to give a frame. If you work without frame, you are like chicken without heads, so you run everywhere. So you need to have this frame. This is normally what a CSR department will do and will come with. And then after that, you have to say, you put the people together. The way we started BNP Paribas, for instance, is to ask volunteer. Who is volunteer to work on a project? And then the first one, you had 8 people. Then the people realized something, we publicized this. Then we had 800 people who came for the second wave. And then it comes like that. When the people see that you are doing something next to you, when the people want to be part of it, when there is something nice, the people want to be part of it. And then you create, then it's the bottom up. Interesting, we ask the people, especially the young people, to be elevated in some committees in order to bring their own ideas. So it's not the pure hierarchy going down. At one stage, we select, if you want to be part of a committee or project, you can join it, and you have the right to say something. So suddenly we elevated people, especially the young generation, to come and to have a fast track. I can tell you when it's successful, you have a lot of volunteers to be in the fast track. And so you create a top-down and a bottom-up. But it has to be well documented. You have to create a culture of it. If you don't create a culture, it will disappear. You have to put it close to your business because it will disappear. If not, it will not be solid. So it's a long-term process. Huh? It's a way. And the people see the benefits. When they see the benefits, then they will continue to do it and they will promote it.
Can I comment
Please, Anna.
just a bit
Yes.
further? Was it Sofia? Because I can totally identify with what you are saying from the other side, from not having enough time to hear new ideas, not having the right flows to test it, or when you want to launch it in a business unit, actually the business unit is struggling with the same situation. So, in my view, for this to happen, it has to be, it's almost like a sweet point that you need to find. Both the proposal itself needs to be quite adjusted to the needs of the company or of the business, because it's very difficult for a big business to adjust, even if slightly. There is a lot of resistance. And then there needs to be, from the company side, a process that is supporting that. If you, I take our example, we are undergoing for over 1 year now a business transformation. This means that we need to change the way we approach our business, and this means that actually we are setting up a group that didn't exist before, that is working with projects, with innovation and co-creation and so on. And if this is not set, that you have the human resources and the financial resources to work with these initiatives, then it's really difficult to make it happen in a fast-paced running machine, just doing the regular business.
Thank you. Okay, so...
Sophia, if I were you, I would think first that there are corporations and corporations. That's not only corporations. You have three different here. So you have to think first with whom are you talking with? Understand or try to understand a little bit of the culture of the company. Then, and I think if you think about BNP Paribas, IKEA or Altice, you'll see easily three different. And then it's working with soft skills, yours and the ones that you find in the company, and adjust. Once again, it's a sort of inner game with yourself and dealing with the site, the person, and try to sell what you want to sell. So you have to keep adjusting and understand the culture. So don't think corporations and make a slide and I will go like this. No, you think Altice. What is Altice? What they are trying to do? Do a little bit of, a way through the sites, through whatever you know in the company. There's always someone, and then see who are you going to speak now. And if the person, the way it receives you, you will see. If it follows you and say, you go and speak with this one, then you go to check, who is this person? Let's go to LinkedIn. Well, publicity off. But let's go and try to know, because people make the difference. And you can sell to corporations if you think about people. That's my advice. That's what I would do if I were wearing your shoes.
Pedro, yeah.
I think I have multiple hats. One of my hats is small SME, global solutions. And I think what everybody wants is to create value. And what is beautiful about SDGs is that the notion of value has changed. So people are no longer just looking for profit, no longer just looking for shareholder value. They're looking for something else. They're looking for legacy. They're looking to improve the life of others. They're looking to reduce their footprint. Global Solutions is very, very small. We focused on one thing, sustainable development solutions. And this is what we do. We have a very small team, and we only work when we truly believe that we create value. This can be for municipalities, this can be for large institutions, but the point is, are you understanding what type of value this organization is looking for? And what are they willing to provide to their own clients? What happens today in large corporations, and I used to work for a large corporation, so I used to be part of a very big orchestra. And all of a sudden I decided to sing on my own and on teams of 2, 4, 5, so pretty much the startups that you have. And the point is, it's a lot of fun. And you have to have fun in life. You know, you have to enjoy life. And again, how are you doing it? And trust, persist, insist, don't give up. Because if you know that you are creating value, you're going to go through.
Thank you so much, Pedro. I think that we will have the energy for much more questions, but unfortunately we are completely running out of time, and outside is a very sunny Saturday, so we don't want to keep you here forever. And just before passing the word to the soul and the head of our center, that is Nuno Moreira da Cruz, I will just invite you to keep the conversation going on. So if you have more questions for the speakers, you can address them to us in the Center for Responsible Business and Leadership. And you can follow us on our LinkedIn. We are also putting this conversation there. And we are open to conversations and questions and discussions, so reach out every time you want. And Nuno, please.
It's all about expectations in life. I had the expectations high for this morning, but it was higher than I thought, I have to say. At least I enjoyed it a lot. Pedro, I really appreciate the concept of sustainable development. We've heard this so often, but explain the history along all these years, it was fantastic. And I love the idea of the game, the rules of the game, and the players of the game. I mean, it came into me like a glove. Pierre, I really loved, the idea of understanding this is part of the strategy is exactly what we do in the center. So it's pushing open doors and listening to you and to Anna and to Margarida, all singing the same song. It's just absolutely amazing because that's what we believe in the center. The thing that is missing, and you're absolutely right, and we are working on that, is impact measurement. How do you measure impact? Because certainly a bad company with an EBITDA of $1 million cannot be worth the same thing as a good company worth an EBITDA of $1 million. It's not possible. We have to invent a new measure. And we need all to feel very, very comfortable with that. We are working on that. And I really loved the idea of, you started by saying that is part of your strategy. Sustainability is part of the strategy. We say that so often, that we don't believe in sustainability strategies. Sustainability is the strategy. There is nothing else. In the past, there was this thing saying, yeah, you need the sustainable economy, the economical part of sustainability is key. Because without that, you don't have the social, you don't have the environment. Full stop. But what is abundantly clear these days is that without sustainable from the social and the environmental, you don't have the economic sustainability. So that's being part of the strategy makes it all. And the example of IKEA is just amazing because the way you went through what you call the 3 agents of change or whatever, it touches the all stakeholders as you go through them. And so that's really, we could feel that it's part of the strategy. It's not just greenwashing. We just could feel it. And that's the great thing about it. And Margarida, I love the idea of together has no limits because together is no limits. This comes to the 17. Straight to the point, and that's the most important thing. I don't really understand, Pedro, I don't think you really understood the question because the question is, well, which is the one that you really believe can be accomplished? And I think you replied by saying that's the most difficult, okay? So I don't think you were saying that 17 is the one that could be accomplished, but is the one that is key to be accomplished the other. I got you. So thank you very much. I want to thank, where is Sofia? Sofia, thank you very much for hosting us. Town Hall has been a fantastic partner here. It's a lovely environment. I've never been here. I loved it. And thanks very much for all of you to come. There are other important things to do on Saturdays. So being here was fantastic. Thank you very much.